All right, ready?
Yeah. Okay, folks, live from downtown San Francisco. It's the Tuesday night marathon, round 3. And I'm here with Nick DeFermian. And how's it going, Nick?
Good, good, good. You know, the world's beginning to open up. Live chess in San Francisco for this is the third round now. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
And I'm just a note to anybody watching out there. I can't see any chat, so you're all going to have to. I'm not ignoring you, and maybe Nick can answer some questions in the chat. But I'm running blind here, and so Nick on board 1. Theo Biasis versus Kyron Griffith.
Okay, now this is great. The things are. I've got the mechanics broadcast. So round 3, and it looks like a Nimzo Indian.
Yeah, you want to go back through the game?
So are we only getting one game to
No.
comment
We're
on?
gonna have 5 games here.
Okay.
But yeah, tell me about this opening. You're the author of Modern Chess. What's Queen C2? What's the name of that move again?
Well, it's called the classical variation, and the person who loved to play that was Capablanca.
Capablanca.
So it's kind of hard to go wrong with a move that Capablanca always loved to play.
Right. It develops a piece, eyes the E4 square, and all right.
Avoids the double pawns. So
Right. So what about knight c6? That must be one of the main moves, surely, right?
Well, it's a little, to me, a little bit of a funny move because you move your knight out and that blocks the c pawn. Classically, you'd say, you know, you're fighting with one less pawn in the center. So I would be very wimpy and kind of like Capablanca, go pawn to e3. And
Well, Mr. Biasis played knight f3, and d6 was played, which I suppose is logical with the idea of playing e5, and white plays bishop to d2.
okay, it's bishop d2 is slightly unusual because you kind of want to develop your bishop to e2 and castle, but all right, it's white's got a little bit more of a grip on the center, but it's sort of reasonable for black. And Theo Biasis is starting to play some really good chess. Maybe you have some comments on his games the last few months.
Yeah, well, he he's played 2 strong rounds this tournament, but so maybe he's about to make a big breakthrough. The pandemic is going to help some people and not help other people, I think. You know what I mean?
It depends, you know, especially the newcomers, the people have been playing the blitz chess, and they're not used to the long over the board chess. But these experts and masters, Theo Biasis, the strong chess expert, and of course Aaron Griffith is the star of the mechanics Tuesday and Thursday nights. So
I'm not really sure that Queen C2 and Bishop D2 work together very well. Little redundant there on C3, huh?
making, yes, in a way.
But I don't understand Queen Pawn openings very well sometimes. Shall we take a look at board 2? Elliot Winslow is white versus an unknown player, Gary Harris. At least I don't think we know him.
Oh, Gary, well, of course, Gary's been playing in the mechanics, but
Okay.
yes, not as famous as Elliot Winslow. So he's definitely the underdog in this game. And
Elliot plays the what is this move called? The Fisher variation, the Adams variation, or just H3?
okay, so I'm finding this lagging a little bit right now.
Oh, okay.
Is it popping up on the MI screen?
It's a Nahdorf. It's a Nahdorf with H3.
Okay. Just
All right. I'm gonna see if I can find out that we're maybe having some technical issues here.
who is it who chooses the game for the screens?
Well, I think we're supposed to have a we have the DGT boards.
And are you switching from one to another, or
Yeah.
okay? Because I still see Theo Biasis and Aaron Griffith, but
Okay.
I don't know if you're switching back and forth or whether my computer is a bit stuck.
All right. Will you hold on for a second while I go get some technical help?
That's always a great asset to have. 'Cause, we're still in the kind of mix there, the hybrid live chess, people just
And-
playing over the board, and our online chess. So
And actually, I couldn't get any technical help for the moment.
yes, it's late.
So-
It's in the evening, San Francisco, and the technical people have gone home if they ever came into the building in the first place. The COVID times.
So you're still looking at the Biasis game.
Yes. So maybe I can try to
That's okay.
refresh
I'm
that.
just trying to bring up the game myself. And having a little bit of trouble here. So what's been going on with you, Nick? Are you planning on playing in any chess tournaments?
Well, this is what's happening is interesting. Now, with our players there in the tournament, but I guess also with the staff, because you are going off to Big Sur. You're going to live the life of Elizabeth Taylor and who else was in those famous movies? Richard Burton. And Judith is she's going to soon be off to Hungary, but going by Las Vegas. And I think Abel is also going to Las Vegas, and our own Elliot Winslow. So
Tell me if you can see Elliot's game now.
I'm still stuck on Theo Biasis and Chiron about move 6.
Okay.
Are you able to see any more games?
I can see the other games, but I'm not sure why you can't.
Okay, I was just on the mechanics website of the Twitch channel, so maybe that's not working as well. The Twitch channel, is that still the one where we're mostly broadcasting?
I believe so.
Okay, so you have the games on the DGT board. And can you see that on chessbomb.com or
No, we're just on DG View Live Chess Cloud. But we want our viewers to see what we're seeing as well. So it's not. Um, so let's just talk about the Chiron game.
okay until but
Have you seen any further moves?
no, there's I'm still stuck on move 6 there.
Ah, okay. So there, that might be part of the issue.
So it could be that Twitch is having trouble. I'm not sure.
Because they're actually white played a3, bishop c3, bishop c3. So
Okay, that's what I'm seeing, and we're stuck. Um, so could be Twitch is just having a bit of trouble now. We need is Wanzen House. So, wander into the building as he did. He was the one who did the first broadcast for the Mechanics Institute about 2.5 years ago.
yeah.
Got us online, but
So uh, did you see Shanklin play Duda? The game Shanklin and Duda played today?
oh well, let's talk about that. I didn't see that. It's nice to see Sam Shanklin back in the news. It's
He,
and
he
I
he's tied for the lead in where's this tournament? Prague, I think. He's tied for the lead with point and a half out of 2 games only. And but he beat Duda in a really nice game. He just mashed him and I'm gonna let the technical expertise jump in here. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna tell Abel what happened here. So hold on a second.
Oh, we have moves.
All right. All right. Thank you.
Yes, Alexi, there were some technical difficulties.
Okay. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
I can see Paul. I can now see the moves being played. Life is good.
Okay. So White's just taking it easy here with the two bishops.
That's what you're supposed to do in this position. You're supposed to say, I'm a little better. I'm not rushing anything. I'm just getting a little advantage and going to develop, going to move my pawns, castle. Jeremy Silman used to do all that.
Just to develop his pieces.
Yes, and just play patiently.
Okay.
Patience.
I was an impatient player, but I've become a patient player with a little bit of impatience thrown in. Let's see if the boards move. Do you see Elliot's game now?
Um, oh, yes, now another game. And yes, that Nidor.
Elliot versus Gary Harris. So this was h3 against the Nahdorf, and then e5, knight e2, bishop e7, g4, castles, knight g3.
And Gary Harris is a fine player, but he's really getting a test here, playing the venerable international master Elliot Winslow. That's tough.
Hi,
And
Alexei, if you're still there.
Yeah, and Alexi's rooting for Elliot, so that makes it even tougher, for Gary. So I'm going to have sympathy for Gary in this game. White is gathering all these white squares on F5 and D5. Got that move pawn to G5.
So has Black already made maybe a couple of errors here, or one error or something?
Bishop E7 and castles, normal kind of moves, but in the Najdorf, sometimes you just have to be very aggressive. So I might have gone pawn to B5 very early. Black ready to
So after
cause some trouble.
after h3, White's sort of trying to play a Keres attack. Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to board 3. This had an interesting opening. A Dutch defense with bishop f4.
Now the players are
Abhinav Panagalapati and Guy Argo, the race car driver.
okay. Oh, a Dutch defense.
With White playing this kind of unusual setup here.
Almost kind of a London system or compost.
I like that Queen A5 move.
Very aggressive, it skims the knight, ready to go pawn to E5.
Look at that.
Now, Alexi is just saying, congrats, organizer of the year. Now, that's...
Yeah, my boss and the Mechanics Institute chess room director, Abel Talamatis, was just named apparently the chess organizer of the year, of the pandemic
by the United States
year.
Chess Federation.
By the United States Chess Federation. So, congratulations. And incredible. And I've seen it in action from the get-go here. Remarkable.
Well, and
totally
very
deserved.
well deserved. It's just
completely deserved.
Just, especially in this pandemic time, that I mean, credit, of course, to Judith also, but Abel has jumped in and, kept chess going. It's like the mechanics didn't miss a beat, even though there was this national pandemic going on.
Yeah, incredible. And let's not forget that Judith herself won in 2017.
Yes.
So we've got two chess organizers of the year working here at the mechanics. It's amazing.
Well, the dynamic duo.
Yeah. So after knight
Neil,
g5, black sort of calls white's bluff with plays bishop h6. And I guess knight to e6 doesn't really do anything after something like knight f8. So white reinforces with h4. Black's bishop at h6 is looking a little silly, I think, but what do you think of this position, Nick?
yeah, I think it's you've got the good, the bad, and the ugly there. So
I wish I had come up with that.
yeah, you've got good pieces for both sides. You've got a couple of bad pieces for both sides. So probably about an equal position.
Okay, that's good enough for me. All right, let's play. Rohan Rajaram is playing Christian Clemens on board 4.
Well, I'm always a fan of Christian's games, and Rohan, he's played some good games in the last couple of rounds. So.
Yeah,
But
these are players I think with 2 points or at least a point and a half. I'm not sure. I don't have the standings in front of me.
now, in the chat, two of our most faithful regulars are saying that Abel has to come on the Chess Cafe and do a victory lap for his marvelous performance.
Oh,
And
okay, for sure.
and
We'll
and
invite him again.
you as the host of the Chess Cafe seems to be your duty, Paul.
Okay, I'll invite him. He's appeared before on the Chess Cafe, but yeah, it would be great to have him and John Donaldson at the same time. Well, black looks surely equal here.
Yeah, isolated pawns must be quite nice for the black side at least. White's got everything developed, but no targets that are easily hit. So
Yeah.
that black knight would come to d5. You'd feel very snug with black.
So what should white do? Trade and play bishop e5 or something?
Yeah, and that probably just gets equality.
I like it when the grandmaster agrees with me.
Almost all the time, Paul.
Now this is Nicholas Wang versus Adam Mercado. On board 5.
Yeah, so white has more space, but those pawns on a4 and c4 are a little bit of a target.
And if black wants to put a knight on b4, it's going to have to come from a6. Does white have time to play knight b1, knight c3? What's the idea here? Try to win something.
Oh, I love that plan of yours. Just so strategic. Retreat knight to b1, knight to c3, hop in on b5, and white's doing well.
Except for black might be able to take on a4 after knight b1. Because the knight on b1 will be hanging.
And that would trade off a lot of pieces. And maybe have an even game.
All right, let's go up to board 1. Nothing convincing yet on any of these boards here. Yeah, this this is a
So,
fairly
Paul, can I ask you, Theo Gassa said if you've been able to see him play live in some of the Tuesday night marathons.
yeah.
Again, with he's become a very good player, but with talent such as he had, you uh, love to see that great chess tradition continue.
Yeah. So what's Black gonna do here? Play Nimzovich style with e4 and bishop f5, or e4 and rook e8 or something, or take in the center.
If you take in the center, white recaptures, and it's all pretty even, except white just has the bishop pair. It just has that extra dark squared bishop on an open board, and black would be suffering at least a little bit. So your choice, if you go pawn to e4, okay, it's locked up, but
How about taking on d4, and if
knight.
white takes with the pawn, play rook e8, stop him from castling.
Okay, but pawn takes d4. Your natural move is knight takes d4.
Right, and then maybe knight e4. I don't know.
Yes, okay. There's a thought. Knight e4, threatening to trade the bishops. The bishop goes back to b2. I guess you go bishop f5 and.
Oh, you can't though with the knight at d4.
Yeah, maybe trade the knights on d4 and then bishop f5.
And it's messy.
Yeah, a little messy, but that seems like a real plan for black. I always find that black in this opening has to work a bit harder to get equality.
Those two bishops could come to life.
Yes, if you're not careful, again, say like pawn takes d4, knight takes d4, knight takes d4, bishop takes d4. It's just a simple position, but the bishops are more powerful. So black has to be careful to avoid that scenario.
All right, let's see how the Elliot Winslow is doing here. We've got a few more moves than this. Elliot is thinking. Now, Elliot likes to take his time at certain points during the game. He's pretty famous for that. It looks to me like white's already got an edge here. Black's played a little too simply, I think.
Yes, a bit passively. Maybe he's threatening pawn to d5, but bishop to g2 would stop that. Still, why Elliot uses so much time? Like Gadir Gusinov, he always just plays very quickly, confidently.
Yeah, I want to be like Gadir. All right, so it's still a game, however, and on board.
Mike Walder thinks it's even, but I find black tends to suffer a bit in this position.
And this
it's a matter of taste.
And this game still just black is yet to make a move here. All right, so let's move on. And still, this should be an even. Black might have to be a little careful here for a move or two, but he should be fine.
Again, you worry about, I mean, this is beautiful development for white. Everything's nicely developed. There's that d5 square. To me, that knight is just begging to go to the d5 square.
So if you're black, you just want to slam that knight down on d5.
Yeah, if I were Gadir Gusinov, I wouldn't think. Throw the knight on d5. It's think afterwards. You have this beautiful piece, and exactly what the complications will be, you'll see later. But you kind of know that that's the square for the knight.
Right. Yep. Okay. And finally, back on board 5, we have this Roy Lopez. I guess this came out of this came out of a Roy Lopez anti-marshal with H3. Why do they call this the anti-marshal when Black could play D5 right now if he wanted to? In fact, he has played D5 in this position.
Well, the thing is, when you play pawn to C3, the white knight can't jump to C3. So
Right.
going pawn to D5 against other moves means you'd give up the pawn, and it would be different, but you'd still be able to develop more easily.
Right.
So pawn to D5 isn't as good against other moves.
It's funny though, we were having that conversation in the chess cafe where it's like, Black gives up, I think it was in the chess cafe, Black, all these positions like in the Schliemann and other variations where, Black gets the 2 bishops and gives up a pawn and he's okay. Or something.
Okay, well, it's when you're giving up a pawn or 2, you do have to get something.
Yeah, okay. All right, so let's see. We transpose back into one of the oldest lines of the Roy Lopez. And white plays D5. That's a very old move as well.
Which normally you'd like to wait till the bishop would commit itself to D7, such as knight BD2, bishop to B7, and then D5. But so D5 right away.
It's an old venerable move.
Yes.
There's that old plan of Black playing the knights back to D8, E8, and then playing F6, G6, knight F7, and knight G7. But I guess Black doesn't do that in this game. This surely is theory, but Queen B7 is an odd one. Don't you think?
It seems unusual, yes. It's But okay, Black is sort of all right because the light squared bishop wants to be on the C8 to H3 diagonal.
Right.
Hasn't had to retreat, and so basically this should be okay for Black. But yeah, you could have gone pawn to A5.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't like this move C4 so much, but
Well, it wants to keep the game more open. Well, C4 they could also play pawn to B4, just lock up the queen side.
Right. And then switch over to the king side with G4 moves and so on.
But I'm glad they each exchanged one pawn on the queen side, so it's more action there. Pawn to G4 means you've got some weaknesses on the king side, so you can't. I mean, I loved your plan. If I could get it in with the knight to B1 and C3 B5.
Yeah.
Might have done that before doing anything on the king side. As you say, there was that tactical possibility, knight to B1, knight takes A4.
So here we are. All right, let's move on. The players are taking their time. There's 2 hours each. This is slow chess, Nick.
I must confess that I'm having a little trouble transitioning from a year and a half of a rapid chess, online chess, and you expect the action to come very quickly. Now the games are slowing down, and you're kind of waiting for the players to move, but they don't move so quickly. They have a lot more time on their clock.
And now
It's
we're back with Biasis and Griffith. And in this situation, Black actually played e4, which I'm not sure about. Well, at least there was another plan there, and Black chose e4. I'm sure he took a lot of time, but this is another kettle of fish entirely, huh, Nick?
it is, and e4 is an aggressive move, so you expect that out of Kyron Griffith. That's just. But you're right. It's that pawn on e4, same color as the bishop, and h3. Nice move by Theo.
Yeah, I like that. I like this idea. White could, sometimes even castle queenside in this opening.
Yes, absolutely. It's you could throw up those kingside pawns, g4, maybe followed by h4. It's possibilities for white, and once again, Black has to find some good plan, and it's not all that easy.
All right, well, let's switch over here to.
Just to note that I think this is probably going to be our game of the round. It's
Yeah, I mean, this is some good players here, and I'd like to see Theo start winning some games against these stronger players. He's taking his lumps. It's time to dish it out a little bit. Don't you agree, Nick?
I would love to see. I think he's playing better chess, and again, sort of a fan of Theo. Especially his wonderful parents. So like to see him make some moves. It's of course, Kyron has been the most entertaining player of the Tuesday Night Marathon in the last years.
Speaking
Good
of
matchup.
Mr. Entertainment, what about Elliot Winslow, who's still thinking here? All right, which means we're going to move on to Abhinav Penegalapati versus Guy Argo. And we've had some action here. After h4, Black decided to take and play knight e4.
Yes, now it's strange. Giving up your developed bishop, throwing your knight in there, and I guess that kind of forces bishop takes e4, which happened.
And then White played the queen to an odd square, I think. Well, I guess queen g4 can just be met by d5. All right. Queen g2.
It doesn't feel quite right for Black. It's
Actually, in order to defend this pawn at e4, Black is forced to play queen f5, because otherwise White's going to play knight takes e4, even if Black plays d5.
Yes, and if you go queen takes g5, knight takes e4, nice to trade your wing pawn, which was an h pawn, for a center pawn. So yeah, this exchanges of Black really seem premature. Queen f5, I don't know, what's the idea? Pawn to d5 and then take the d pawn, but maybe just castle on to begin with. Pawn to d5, bishop to f4.
It seems to me White needs to exploit his lead in development here. by castling queenside and playing f3 or something like that. I'll bet
So
you.
Alexi says that Elliot may not like the nickname Mr. Entertainment.
Well, we don't care. We're gonna call him Mr. Entertainment if he likes it or not.
All right, Elliot. So that's not your worry. Oh, I'm
Okay.
sorry. Alexi says he would like it. My mistake.
Oh, he would
It's,
like it. Yeah, no, I think he would like it.
okay.
Well, okay, so black, instead of playing the Gadir like knight d5 here in this position, played the exchanging knight takes e4 move. And now we're heading into drawing territory here, I think. Black can't play queen d5 because the bishop at e7 hangs. So bishop f6 and maybe black is slightly better.
Yeah, as you say, pretty equal. Bishop to f6, bishop to e5. It's knight d5 is a much more aggressive move, keeping material on, keeping that white pawn isolated on d5.
All right, well, white still has to solve a couple of problems here, I think.
Yeah, again, good development for white, but that's what can you do with it? You know, the main thing is maybe trade off your isolated pawn.
All right, I'm using the wrong side of the trackpad. All right, and now we have white switching one move on the king side and then the next move on the queen side. Taking aim at the a5 pawn.
That's very aggressive.
Yeah, and going back here, I mean, after white played queen e2, I think rook a b8 looks a little bit like, I don't know. You need a long think here to think about what to do with black.
Maybe rook on f to b8.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
one rook guards the a pawn, the others.
Yeah, okay. Instead, rook a b8, g4, g6, and now knight b3. And I guess black might find it awkward to take on a4, although it might be possible.
Well, say, how about queen a6, guarding the a pawn, hitting the pawn on c4?
Yeah, exactly.
And
And this little demonstration by white on the king side without the pieces over there could boomerang if black can get an h5 at some point.
The move pawn to g4 didn't seem to be very constructive strategically.
No.
So
I mean, white could have followed up with knight f1, knight g3, and knight f5 or something. But I think white's kind of lost his way a little bit.
It's a bit odd to go g4 on the king side and then switch back and try to attack pawns on the queen side.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's switch back to board one. And Kyron is thinking after h. Now h5 is the normal reply, but you may not want to play that with the king's with white being able to castle on the queen side and play g4.
Did that? Yeah. H5 because you are castled there.
You know, it's interesting. I think Theo is playing a very canny game here because, and he does play h5. I think this is pretty risky for black here.
I would agree, but Byron always makes those moves.
That's true.
It's you get a sense of people's style. I mean, Gadir has a style. He moves quickly. He just puts a piece on, positionally correct square. And okay, let's let things work out. Kyron, he says, okay, I want to do something, and this move has good and bad. It's risky. I'm just going to do it. So
Right.
h5. But say you had the white side. Paul, what would you do?
Oh, I usually have the black side of these kinds of positions, but okay, what would I do?
Would you castle long?
I think I would try to castle long, but then I'm thinking, yeah, black can't quite. Can black play d5 then? But then king b2 or attack it. I don't think white would want to play c5, but he might, right?
Castle long d5. Would it be time to go g4?
Well, the a3 pawn is hanging.
Ooh, okay. Although you can't take the a3 pawn, bishop hanging. D5 is very sharp. That's the thing about Kyron's move h5. It's very double-edged. You're not sure what to do for the white side. He does that. He makes a move that you're uncertain what to do. And Mike Welder says, just g4 now.
So yeah, but yeah, yeah, that's true. G4 now, and if takes twice with the knight, I guess, then white could.
Okay, g4, pawn takes, h takes g4, h takes g4, and yeah, I agree. Knight takes g4, and
then maybe rook.
I don't.
Rook g1
yeah, you don't,
or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that might have been okay for black.
Well, what about and then there's should black play d5, or like if white castles and black plays d5, then white can also play c5.
Yes, but that locks the position, and your bishop on c3 becomes not so important.
Right.
So I'm kind of like a bit riskier, but castles long, pawn to d5, maybe just king to b2.
And then I'm thinking black could maybe try knight b4 there.
Yeah, because you would trap the bishop if pawn takes b4, pawn takes b4. Yeah, that's it's interesting. And I could I be Petrosian-esque and then go queen to b1. The idea, castles long, pawn to b5, king to b2, knight to b4, queen to b1, and I really want to play pawn to g4, the next move.
Right, and the knight coming into d3, no big deal.
Well, got to take it, yes, and then maybe yes, maybe that's a good trade. Knight on d3. So the
gosh, a lot to look at.
Okay, Mike Welder again is suggesting, why not pawn to g4 right away? Pawn takes g4, pawn takes g4, knight takes g4, and then can you go bishop takes g4, bishop takes g4, knight takes e4, but
bishop f3. Oh, knight f6 check.
Knight f6 check. So we're not going to fall for that. But,
I was gonna fall for it.
Yeah, but
That's a nice line, actually. Well, what if black returns the bishop to f5?
yeah, I'm not certain. You know, Mike likes that very much for the white side.
You can return the bishop to f5, and then knight f6 check doesn't work to queen f6.
Yeah,
And
there's
white's,
possibilities.
yeah.
I think that's a bit complicated. Um,
Finally, should white think about playing d5 himself?
yes, I mean the knight comes to e5 right away, and can get into the d3 square. So I'm
Right,
not sure of the follow up for that,
right.
even though it makes that bishop beautiful.
Something like, you know, d5, knight e5, queen b2.
Yeah, kind of interesting. D5, knight e5, queen b2, rook f to e8.
Yeah, that's what I was
Um,
just looking at. Probably okay for black. Maybe this position is, you know, just fine.
well, it's very interesting this h5 move, even though um,
Yeah, we were thinking. I was thinking it was risky, but it's got its points. I think if white, what about castling on the king side for white?
yeah, then okay, you know, there's
But then
the target on
to play on the queen
h3.
side with b4. I guess that's my idea.
You know what? That's maybe safe enough. If I could get a safe position with the white side, that would be okay. Castle king side.
It's not
Still,
very
there's
ambitious. All right, let's move on, shall we? To
okay. Well,
board.
let's get back to this game. It will be, I do believe, the game of the round.
And after thinking forever, Elliot plays g5, and the black knight went back to e8. Oh, I've got to answer the door.
Okay. Okay, Mike. Yes. We'll have to, if you give us the sequence after pawn to g4. When Paul comes back, we'll make your moves on Kyron's game. Because, we'll look at the other games sort of quickly. Come back to Kyron's game, and I wasn't seeing uh, the sequence that won for White.
Are you looking at the Winslow game?
Well, the Winslow game looks a bit better for Elliott. He's pushed the knight back. Still not easy for Black to make any pawn break.
Okay,
Certainly
I
not
have a
pawn to
question for
d5.
I have a question for you here. Um, oh no, I guess not. So after queen d2, queen f5, castles, d5, bishop e5, bishop f4 rather, b5. What do you
Yeah,
think?
so somehow it seems nicer for White to me that the White King is safer. There's the eighth file. Um, the
Yeah, this is one
bishop.
of those deceptive positions. Nick, can you run the show for a minute here?
Okay, yeah. Can you turn back to the uh, uh, board one for a moment?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Thank you. So,
And there's Theo is still thinking, so I'll be right back.
oh, okay. So again, our game of the round thinking, and uh, our opening maestro in chief, Mike Welder, saying G4 is very, very good here. And the idea would be pawn takes G4, pawn takes G4, knight takes G4. And still not seeing the follow up to that for white. You want to play pawn. Well, I'm not sure what you want to play for the white side. Yeah, okay, pawn to G4, pawn takes G4, H takes G4, knight takes G4, bishop takes G4, bishop takes G4. Um, and still a pawn to F3, which you, okay, the bishop would take on F3, bishop would come back to F5, let's say, oh, you want to get queen to H2 in, let's say bishop takes F3, queen H2, pawn to F6, um, well, we need some help from our fans. Oh, I'm sorry, the knight on F3. My mistake. Yeah. Um, okay, G4, pawn takes G4, pawn takes G4, knight takes G4, F3, bishop to F5. You can take the pawn on E4, the knight or the pawn. You take with the pawn, bishop to G6. You still have to castle queenside or something. You want to go knight takes E4. Bishop F5, castle. Okay. Line going G4, pawn takes G4, pawn takes G4, knight takes G4, bishop takes G4, bishop takes G4, F3, bishop F5, and then castle long. On to D5, I guess.
A lot for white to think about.
Okay, yeah, very aggressive line. It's on to D5, C takes D5. Knight B4. Probably good for white. All right, so that's Theo is thinking, and Mike is giving a very compelling line for the immediate pawn to G4.
So takes on G4.
Yes, pawn to G4, H takes G4, H takes G4, knight takes G4, bishop takes G4, bishop takes G4, pawn to F3, trying to open the way to H7 with the white queen. Bishop comes back to F5 and castle long. And so at that moment, material is actually even. White's opened up.
Why doesn't white just take on E4 after bishop F5?
You could. Bishop comes back to G6. Yeah, I mean it certainly opens lines for the white side. It does give black the light squared though,
Yeah.
and pawn to f6 is a defense, but I'm tending to agree with Mike that that's lots of open lines, very dangerous position for the black side. And you know what? That's when you play a move like h5, very sharp, very sticking it to you, and you feel how can a person play like that? H5 opening up your king, and you have to play really precisely and sometimes really aggressively. And I think Mike has gotten the right reply on to G4 and giving up your light squared bishop, trading it off. Um, that does get an advantage for the white side. Um,
At least you can
let's
win
see.
you can, yeah.
I mean, there are other continuations for white, but I don't see any clear advantage in those either. So probably pawn to g4 is the best move in this position. I'm still suspicious of the black position in some other ways.
Shall we move on to board two?
Okay, yeah, we've spent quite a lot of time on that line, and we'll just see what Theo comes up with after a 20 or 30-minute thing.
And here's Elliot. Um, I suppose, you know, the routine bishop e3 or something like that.
He's still got control of the d5 square. He spent his time advancing his pawns on the king side, but now it's very much time to develop your pieces.
I thought he was spending his time thinking about what he was going to have for dinner tonight with Michael Waldron.
Now, there
Yeah,
we
that's a
have it.
comment you
The
can only make if you know the chess players. All too well, yeah.
we had famous chefs again, where Alexei was.
What about macaroni and cheese? Are we going to see that or fish sticks? The chess master that likes fish sticks.
I would like that answer. When you were asking the famous chess masters like Kramnik, what's your favorite dinner or what would you most like to cook? If somebody would answer macaroni and cheese,
Or fish sticks.
Bobby Fischer might have said something like that.
Yeah.
He just didn't care about those trivial things like eating. But Elliot has played your recommended bishop e3, developing, and he'll have a great game if he can just get his pieces out and castle.
Yeah. All right, so let's roll on then to Guy Argo playing Abhinav Panagalapati, and this has been a interesting game.
Ooh, I'm liking White's position, I have to say.
Black really played a risky move there with b5. Okay, can we just go back for a second here? So, if I'm black, I'm sorry. If I'm black in this position, maybe even in this position, I would be thinking about moving the knight to b6 and then playing bishop out and castling on the queen side. I would not be thinking of castling on the king side.
You've given up your fianchettoed bishop on g7, which is one of your main defenders when you castle to the.
And b5 seems to say that's it. I'm not going to castle on the queen side, but f3 is a good move. I'm scared for black here.
F3 was an excellent move. You're not afraid of B4, knight to E2 when the B4 pawn is hanging, and F3 not only starts action in the center but opens up the king side. So, ouch! This is beginning to look really difficult. Rook H6. I like this move again. Also, it's
Although black can stick his rook on f7 and be pretty well defended there for the moment.
hey, it's how long can you hold it? Like rook to f7 will go queen to h2.
Yeah.
Maybe want to go knight to f8. You're holding on, agreed.
But at some point, white can play e4 or bring their knight around to the king side.
It feels like white is going to get more attackers on that side.
And this is another game where like one player is playing like the other game, where the players are kind of playing on one side of the board and then another side of the board, and like this game. Okay, a lot has happened here, Nick. Knight b3. Let's take a look at this quickly. Nicholas Wang versus Adam Mercado. Queen a6 was played. And white played bishop to d2. Wow, just willing to give up the c4 pawn.
Yeah, okay. So Adam just trades into the end game, which looks like it ought to be just fine for the black side.
I agree. There is that a pawn, but you know, it's funny. Do you think black should have taken the bishop on g2?
Interesting to leave that knight alive on a5. We can go to c6.
Yeah.
Of course, you'd love to get that bishop, but you have to deal with the problem of knight c6, and maybe, and the other knight coming to c4. That, I agree with you, might have been hasty. You just grab the knight on a5, rook to b7.
Yeah, and then or throw an h5 for black too, maybe, if you can. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, I'm again displaying my ignorance with the... Okay, so this happened.
So he moves that knight to c4, but I've also moved the other knight to c4 and to...
Yeah, play the other knight to c4 and then play into knight c6.
Yes, and then planning knight c6. That's...
Maybe black could play rook b4, though. Attacking the knight.
Sort of a tactical variation. So this knight to c4, you know what? You look at the white pieces after that, and you say, well, the black rook will come to b4. Where is white's plan? You've got that on c2. You've got two wonderful knights going to c4, but only one of them can occupy the c4 square.
So he played knight. He played this knight. Maybe that was better, but I don't know. Now white can at least push the pawn, but I think things that white's been kind of a little bit helter-skelter here. Maybe he's going to play rook b1. This could still turn in white's favor, I think, but I don't think it should, but it maybe could, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's all right. It's just interesting ending. There's pluses and minuses. The pawn can go to a5, knight to b6 for white, but you do have some weak dark squares in the white camp. I'm not so worried about that white pawn on g4 in the end game.
All right, let's roll it up to board 4. And this very carefully played game here, with white did play bishop e5, and then black traded, and black is now pressuring the d4 pawn. Something's looking a little odd here with the white pieces.
Although they are, aggressive. That giving credit for that.
What about putting the rook offside by playing f5? Oh, too late. Well, now we're really gonna get a game here, a queen ending.
Your f5 was very interesting, trying to win the d4 pawn. But this is a nice safe move, and if you go to a queen ending, well, it's certainly black can't be worse.
All right, we'll come back because we have board 1 and g4 was played, and this is when push comes to shove, white decides on action.
What I like is Theo spent a long time on this move.
Oh, and I see another possibility for white, actually, is white can throw in d5 too. After takes.
When I go pawn takes g4, pawn takes g4, knight takes g4, you want to go d5 at that point?
Or maybe take the bishop, take the knight first, and then play d5. I don't know. At least there's that possibility to play d5 too.
I'm wondering that may improve it a bit. Pawn takes g4, pawn takes g4, knight takes g4, pawn to d5. If the knight on c6 goes to e5, maybe you can cleanly snag the pawn on e4.
Despite the pin.
It's tactically complicated. Not sure that'll work.
Well, you could take on g4 first, like we were going to, and then play d5, knight e5. I don't know if you want to encourage the knight to go to e5 there. Well, anyway.
It starts a lot of tactical complication.
g4 just looks like the right move somehow.
Well done, Theo. It's you stop, you think, because it is a very critical position, and a very compelling line. So
I've got another idea, a really strange idea. Takes on g4, takes with the bishop g4, and then white maybe plays f4 to play king f2 and the other rook over to g1. Just try to blow him away.
Okay, now that is original. That is on to f4.
Oh, I guess f3 looks better.
Yeah.
f3, bishop f5, and then maybe d5? Anyway. This is a good game. This is a tough little game here. Let's see how Elliot's doing. By the way, Nick, we're going to take a 20-minute break at 8:30.
Okay, well, yeah, let's see. I,
8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8
Queen F5. Elliot is, again, well, he's actually ahead on time, just as I'm about to criticize him for spending too much time. Notice he's got 16 minutes ahead on the clock. But this game is, it's somehow, what are they, about 10, 12 moves into the game. And
They're taking their time.
when I love to see players use their time when they come up with some good or really interesting move, like just as we saw in Theo Bias's Chiron's game, that pawn to h5 aggressive, and then a long think and pawn to g4, and you get a fascinating position. So these other games, do you want to just play like Gadir? This is good, just play it quickly. And this game, I'm kind of, I like White's position, and I think these moves are easy to play from the White side here. Triple on the H file. You've got your bishop in play. Now the knight is coming into play.
And there's a possibility of putting the bishop on e5 and the rook on f4 or something. I mean, there's lots of attacking. A knight h5. Maybe the knight will even end up on c5.
Yes, this is wide critical for the black side because one, it's the white king is safe, so it's going to take you a long time to get any counterplay against that white king.
Right.
And you will maximize everything on the white position. You've already tripled. You're going to put your knight on g3 and then your bishop on e5, and then you're going to look for some kind of shot.
Okay. Let's roll down to this game. This is White's just traded on e8, and if I were both of these players, I would be happy with the draw. Now White can play h3 or something like that, or
Okay, well, this will be a long end game if somebody wins it.
It's bizarre, but that a pawn is so powerful somehow. Black might be in some trouble.
That's kind of true.
It's not easy to find squares for the black pieces.
Because, yes, knight b6 is maybe kind of a threat. You can't really move that bishop on e7 because the d6 pawn is attacked.
Yeah, I mean, black maybe messed up. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure what the final judgment should be here on this position. But it's still a fight. Okay, let's go back to Chiron and Theo Biasis. Board 1 is a dogfight here, and this is, it's got the feeling of should be a good for White here with a bishop slashing across the board. And
I think objectively it must be good for white somehow, but all right, you're meeting the number one player on the black side, Kyron, who's also been known for a swindler too. So you can convert this edge from the white side. Well, Theo, we're going to give you a Grandmaster norm for that, an honorary Mechanics Institute Grandmaster norm. I'm not sure FIDE will take it, but
So knight takes g4, maybe bishop takes g4, bishop takes g4, and then f3.
F3, bishop back to F5, and Mike Wilder wanted to castle long, just mobilize all the forces. So but okay, looks kind of good for white, but there's still more to go in that game.
Yep, okay. Let's see what the players decide upon, or we will see. Meanwhile, Elliot is still waiting for a reply from his opponent, Gary Harris. And this is now looking like pretty serious here, with knight f4 maybe coming up and sacking on g6 as well.
Oh, yes. You know, like...
I mean, black had a pretty decent game back here, I thought, and just kind of made a bunch of moves that didn't link together very well. Like b5, like b5 here. I think black maybe not so bad here, if he can just hold it together. But he decides to play b5, and I think that that's bad, maybe. And then castles on the queen side, the king side in combination with this, and his position's just gone downhill.
Yes, castling king side really was asking to be attacked. But nicely played. Rook to h6, you know, nothing, just bring all the pieces to the squares that they need to be on. Triple on the h file. Beautiful bishop on e5. And
let's see, can black play rook takes f3?
Oh, rook takes h7 is probably the end. If rook takes g6 wouldn't be the end.
Right. Okay. All right, we like white in this position.
And I think we can go back here and let any of our readers suggest how to finish off black. There's got to be some tactics coming up.
Well, shall we come back to the game?
Oh, yeah, well, we will. But black has to be Houdini to escape that position.
H3 was played. I actually predicted a move.
Nice and safe.
Nobody should win this game, although you never can tell what's going to happen.
Looks like it's going to be an even pawn queen ending, and all very safe.
And black is in the tank here.
Well, Avenal is one of the organizers of the San Jose Chess Club, according to Abel. That's yes. How old is Avenal? A good question. Years old. That's very young to be an organizer of a chess club.
Incredible.
Good indeed. Okay, so time is almost even in the OBSs against Chiron.
So
And
what about bishop g4, bishop g4, d5, knight e5, queen takes e4, f5?
can you go knight f3 check instead in that variation? Checking out bishop d4, bishop d4,
Yeah.
d5, knight e5, knight e
You
something,
trying to win
queen
my
e4.
queen?
Yeah, it's somehow that variation's working for black.
All right, let's try my other idea. Bishop g4, and now f4. Not f3, but f4. To play king f2 and rook ag1.
Yeah, but we can probably play f5, hold squares of the king side.
Yeah,
The king can escape to f7.
yeah, that's true.
I hope we see the line that Mike was suggesting earlier. Just bishop takes g4, pawn to f3, and castle long. Just really tense position.
There you go. Yes. See, I'm trying to suggest the bad moves, and Michael and you are trying to suggest the good moves. So I'll just
Oh,
keep on with my job.
I mean, as long as we're suggesting some bad moves, can we look for the checkmate, sort of like the puzzles? That I guess that's
We haven't really come across one yet.
but it's coming soon. Is it Gallardo's game?
All right, this game is looking pretty normal. I just figured out a way to transition to the games. Black is being run pillar to post here.
This is where it gets fun. It's everything's held together for black. It's fine for the moment, except one little thing, and white will crash through.
Well, knight takes g6 might be almost a threat here, huh? And if,
Oh, okay.
maybe, I mean, I don't know.
It's black to move, and yes, maybe white is just threatening knight takes g6. Knight takes g6, knight takes g6, takes h7. Ooh, big threats. So what do you do about it? It's not easy to do anything on the black side.
What about queen takes g5 here?
I was hoping you'd say that. Why not greed? Greed,
Greed?
one of my favorite, motivations.
Maybe rook g1, followed by knight g6.
Yeah, there is. What did the Bible say about greed? After all, that's queen takes g5, rook g1, queen f5, knight takes g6. Yeah, it looks.
You could even go rook h5 first, forcing the queen back to d7 and then play knight g6.
Okay, we're getting some comments from
Looks horrible.
Abel and Alexi. But,
You mean the chess organizer of the year?
oh well, that yes, we great news. We know the Koltanowski conference at the U.S. Open. Okay, that's more
So
organizing.
black has decided to go rook b8. And now I'm supposing white's going to play knight b6 or a5 first. So black is going to try to hold the fort here. That's all he can do right now. And we might be in for a long fight. Let's roll up to this game. Okay.
F3. Okay, this is exactly what Michael Walder said about half an hour ago. And I love that we're going to actually see it come into reality.
So queen g5. I'm just trying to throw out another bad move.
Yeah, it's probably not going to work. God, if nothing else, castle's long, but
Right. Okay. So the only reasonable move is bishop f5.
I think so.
And then white what is going to take on e4 with the pawn
Or
or castle.
castle long, just waiting.
Put the rook on g1. And then black plays d5.
And pawn takes d5, attacks the knight on d5, even though a3 is hanging.
Yeah, queen a3 check, bishop b2. That's going to be good for white, I would say.
But very complicated, very double-edged. I'm just impressed someone would play like this with the white side.
Well, you know, black forced white's hand with h5.
Yes. But you see so many games where kind of provocative move, your opponent doesn't want to go way down the long tactical line, and they sort of chicken out. But here, Theo just sat down, thought for 20 minutes, and took up the challenge. And we're going to see if Chiron's suffering from his very aggressive move. So I'd just like to
I
see.
have another idea. What can white be even faster about switching over to, like, after bishop f5? What about knight e4? With the idea of playing queen h2, rapid. I guess black has f6, so you know. This is going to be a tough one. Great game so far.
I agree with you. 94 might be a good move also.
Folks, we're going to take a 20-minute break in 7 minutes. Just letting everybody know that. And here's Elliot Winslow slogging it out on board 2 versus Gary Harris. Complicated game. Only one pawn has been traded. And that was traded back on the third move in the Sicilian. All right, Abhinav Penagalapati versus Guy Argo, and Guy Argo is facing a disaster here, I think.
Well, there, I'm soon going to have to start trying to search for moves for the black side because white is getting all these.
Let's just run through through things again. H3, still Christian Clemens is still in the tank here. And Mr. Nicholas Wang versus Adam Okada. All right, let's zoom back up to board 1.
Yeah, I do like the move castles long best.
You
You
know
know,
what I
19,
liked about my move f4 is it enabled white to play d5.
aha.
And if white can get that open bishop slamming down a g7, but I can understand why white would want to do this. This is a complicated game.
Yes, I think there are quite a few possibilities. It's
Yeah,
not a lot
we're
of choices for both sides.
working out the exact. So far, I think the players have made really good choices.
Yes, very well played game. And
Um,
that's
I'll be right back, Nick. I need to consult with Abel.
okay. Well, all right. We're getting to the interesting point of the games here. Unfortunately, I can't quite switch the moves. Um, um, we're on our game the round here. That and we may be seeing an upset in the making. Kyron Griffith, who's been the favorite, highest rated player. He's playing young Theo Biasis, and Theo's just an expert, but really pressing, just using his time well, saying, "You're challenging me with that pawn to h5, and I'm going to take up the challenge." Um, yeah, such options here. Castle Longland, you play rook on f to e8. It's maybe you actually play pawn takes e4.
This is an extremely complex position. It's funny.
It is, and this is a position that you can't solve really well in blitz or rapid chess.
You know, maybe the king is safer on f2. What about king f2?
Yes, possibly. I'm not sure that's safe too. There'll be checks maybe
Yeah,
after the f pawn removes itself. Maybe
right.
some checks on f6 or something.
So what if white plays f4 to play d5? I know it's a weird move after having played f3, but I guess black can blunt the um, the bishop by playing f6.
Yeah, that's it's not a clear mate over there. It's
No,
so
but it's a different strategic idea to have that open diagonal and um, if white's not getting anywhere with taking on e4.
yes. Again, the position's not so clear. I mean, I might try just pawn takes c4, bishop to g6, castles long, um, something like rook fe8.
Okay, folks, we're going to take a 20-minute break.
Yep.
And my boss is here to help me with that. All right, bye, guys. See you in 20 minutes.
All right, everyone. We will be back in 20 minutes. Give them a chance to get a drink and do anything else they need to do. And 8:50, we will be back, everyone.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. And that includes me and Nick. Welcome back to us. How are you, Nick? Nick, can you hear me?
Yes, back on, back on.
All right, I'm going to get my water and I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, we've been off for 20 minutes, but it's just given the times for the positions to develop here. It's we've only missed a couple moves, and particularly in our game of the round, Theo Biasis against Kyron Griffith.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand this, Nick. What happens after Bishop G6?
Well, pawns are even.
But Black has a clear plan of playing Rook E8 and Bishop takes E4. What's White going to do?
Well, say you castle long, just something. Rook F8.
I guess.
Okay, let's go then. Rook on D to G1. Thank you. Bishop takes E4, and then we're going to hit you with pawn to D5.
Ooh.
We don't care about our queen.
Yeah.
We're looking for action.
That's a brilliant move.
So,
okay.
You know, that's
it takes a good game to beat a good player.
Yes, it's
Of course, the game this is far from over, but it's quite a battle here. Shall we take a quick look at some of the other games?
Yes. This game is going slowly, move by move. They're thinking a long time, so we'll just see what happens.
All right, here's Win Slow, and not because he wins slow, but his name is Winslow.
Seems to be taking his time in general these days.
And White's got the squares. He's got knight f5, he's got d5, he's controlling a lot of key squares.
Yeah, it's kind of that f file is nice for Black. That knight on e8 doesn't seem to be really in the game as much. So what is White's plan? E8, not sure what that move is going to do.
White would like to get rid of that Black bishop on e6 somehow.
You know what? Maybe it's now a time to throw in knight f5. Because you can't really take it.
No, you cannot take it. I would say no. So what if Black switches up with b4 or something like that?
Well, White wants to get a knight to d5 also. So
right. Oh, that's true. Then just knight d5. Well, then bishop d5.
Yes. So bishop d5, and well, what do? We have our choices. We can go pawn takes d5. I don't think we could go knight takes e7 check.
Yeah, choices for White. Some nice choices too, I think.
So White's better in the position. Various things White could do.
And that's good enough for me. I'm going to look at the next game. What do you say?
Yes.
So after knight f4, Black played bishop a6.
And yes, let's look at this game. I've been expecting some nice shot to finish the game for quite a while.
But White didn't play the move that we were thinking, knight g6. Maybe it wasn't really working.
Yeah, probably it was working, but okay, he didn't play it. So what did he play instead?
He played queen g2. Rook G7.
Okay, rook g7. You could just take that rook and
And he
you're
did. He took it.
winning materially.
So,
So,
so I guess the threat is what, pawn to E4, huh?
oh, pawn to e4. I like that. Not only your two rooks, queen, knight, and bishop, but the pawn to e4, driving the queen away.
So black
Yes.
fianchettoed his rook.
Yeah. You could still go pawn to e4, but why not take that rook?
Oh, this is just horrible.
And
That's
just wanting to crash through on h7, but
that's probably the end of the game.
yeah, yeah, that looks like
I mean, black should run now with king f7 or something, but white can also play knight d3 with a huge bind.
but yes, this somehow I like this. Mike Welder wanted to go pawn to e4, which I'm sure was good. Just looks very good.
All right, we're going to move on here. This game, Nick, was very strange. Okay, we had this. Black played rook e6, white played queen e3, and black let the pawns be doubled. Very odd. And then you get this.
Well, I kind of like that both players were fighting, except you could
Except for
just
that.
give up a pawn for the black side. That's kind of annoying.
So king h6, queen e7 will be a draw, but can black play for a win?
Can black play for a win? It's
Well,
I'm
I'm trying to figure out who's playing for a win here. What and a very odd decision by black to go into this.
well, he wanted to fight. You have to admire people who, okay, the game may be even, may be very drawn, but they just want to play. They want to fight. So unfortunately, it just still looks like it's even. How the pawns will get traded into an even game.
Maybe somebody will blunder into a mate.
Okay.
We can only okay. So white is going for the perpetual check draw, and this is where black can try to lose the game here, right?
Um. Well, let's see. This may be. Oh, like queen takes b2, queen f8 check. God, is there some mating nets? It's.
Do you remember a game between two Russians, I think, or something, where it was a few years ago where white played the queen on the edge of the board was threatening a rook, and white played king g1, allowed the rook to get taken, and then played king h2. And the black king was in a mating net very much like this one.
So yeah, and as Mike Welder points out, queen b4 would have threatened queen f8 check as well as guarding the pawns. So white would have just been clearly better, but here is dangerous for the black side. Only white can win this game.
I predict a draw by perpetual check in a few moves.
Okay, well, we'll see that. Let's see the other games though.
Something
This
happened here, clearly a mistaken.
The DGT board, you think?
Well, let's see, f3, king g7, a5, rook b6. Now here we go into DGT madness, right? Because it was
Okay.
probably rook takes b1.
Yes.
And we're about to, so we'll get that clear in a few seconds. with the rook disappearing at b2.
Okay, somehow we're pretty sure the material's even, that the players did not
Yeah.
blunder.
Okay. So I'm going to go to back up to board one, where Theo Biasis battles it out with Kyron. Okay, so castles was played, and rook fe8.
Okay, so fascinating game. And I'm just wondering, rook on d to g1, the idea of bishop takes e4, pawn to d5, opening up that bishop on the long diagonal.
And probably winning something, right?
Probably wins because, yes. But it just looks like a tremendous attack for the white side.
So if black can't take on e4, what's black going to do after rook dg1?
Yeah, because you're just preparing for a big buildup.
What build up exactly?
Well, rook g4 maybe.
Oh, what a great move.
And yes, rook g4 just guards the e pawn. You can double on the g or h file, get the white queen over.
Yeah.
And what exactly is black doing? You have pawn to d5. But then again, if we do c pawn takes d5, queen takes a4, a3 check, that's bishop b2 wins a piece for white. And otherwise, the white or black knight has to move from c6. So yes, rook dg1 just looks very good for white.
Terrific fight here. All right, I'm almost afraid to leave, but I am going to leave and go down to the next game, where Winslow is still in the tank, thinking about this position. And board 3,
It's strange to me that Winslow, he's up on time by 20 minutes, but every time we look at his position, it's his clock that's ticking.
this is looking very poor. Look, white is clearly winning this. All right.
Yes, just king out there, the queen out there. Funny, the black bishop on a6 not helping.
And queen b1 check just helps white by making black's king more vulnerable. And Christian's kind of lost the thread here. And in this game, we're still not resolved with the DGT issue. There should be no black rook at b2. It should be off the board, I think. All right, but there's nothing we can do about that. So we'll go back up. And rook dg1 was played, Nick.
So, Kyron, you need to come up with a move now for the black side. That's can't play f6.
Can't play f6.
It's hard to find a move for black that's constructive.
All right, what about bishop e4, d5, then f6? Then I guess white can just take on e4. Maybe black can get some pawns. No. Might be the finest game Theo's played ever.
Against a very strong opponent.
I mean, if this is a winning position, which it looks like it might be, it's only 20 moves. King F8, Rook H8 check is an amusing finish.
Yeah. Trying to run away, but not getting very far at all.
If black can't play bishop e4, then his whole strategy is just fallen through.
Yes, that's the point. It's everything even, but those white rooks just super active on the king side. And
I gotta hand it to you, Nick. You saw this coming from a long way off.
and can you oddly that white king over there is safe. It's just hard to get any play for black. Go pawn to a4, you just lock it up with pawn to b4, go pawn to b5. So
And white's meanwhile planning rook g4.
yes.
What a great move that is, too. As a follow-up, it's just fantastic. Very Karpovian.
Yeah, this is
I'm going to switch over again to Elliot. Still thinking. And this game, white is just on the road to a victory here. Might come in the next move or two.
This would be some real miracle escape. That doesn't seem possible.
Yeah. And this odd game, white is apparently content with the perpetual check.
Okay. Well, they've been fighting. Are we going to see queen to f7?
Yeah.
Not recommended, but
An odd game indeed. All right, let's go look at Nicholas Wang, and we're still stuck in this position. I really am not unclear. It's the DGT madness. Back to board one. Great discipline.
We have the 5 boards, one DGT madness. We have the Winslow game. We have board 1. We have the Diargo with the
This is
oh yes. So here, Paul, you have to try to help the black side. it's just no fair suggesting moves for the white side. That's
my knight's attacked.
The knight's attacked. So king f7 may be the best move.
Yeah, then maybe knight d3 and knight e5. Very depressing for black.
Yes, I think you're right. There's just too much wrong with the position.
Yeah.
If you want to have some cheapo chances, you have to have something in your favor. And here, you don't have an attack against the white king. Your bishop on a6 is so out of play.
Yeah, it's black sort of self-destructed here. And black is still thinking here whether to interpose the queen or to play back to h6 or maybe some other move. And this is still stuck in DGT madness. Okay, Nick, now it's you who have to find a defense for black.
Well, this is now we're reaching an interesting point too. Just look at the clocks that uh, here current is getting down to equal in time. So that's significant too. That suddenly your position's not so easy to play. You have to figure something out that you didn't plan to do.
Well, what about Queen D7?
Okay, let's try that.
Maybe Rook H4 then?
Yes, or are we able to transfer the white queen over, queen to D1 or something? The problem is that bishop's stuck on G6 because you can't play pawn to F6.
Yeah, it's a real problem. I mean, black needs an active idea here.
And Chiron has gone down on time. He's now behind on the clock. So, but again, he's a great player. He's highest rated in the tournament, and he's going to find something. He's not going to give up. And he plays down a queen and wins in this even material position. He's going to find some good
All right,
defense
well, let's try D5 again.
So C takes D5.
We got to give up a piece here somehow, I guess, with Queen A3 or Knight B4.
Okay, either of them, like Queen A3, Bishop to B2.
I don't know where that. You can't play Knight B4, right? Because you're just ending up a piece down.
Yes, it doesn't. You don't seem to get anything for it.
Yeah.
Very hard to generate an attack for the black side. So your Queen D7 may be the best move.
Ugh. But then what? I mean, what do you play after that? Rook H4. What, King F8 maybe?
Mike was suggesting something like Queen to D7, Knight to F3. I'm wondering how that works out. You can go Bishop takes E4, and if pawn to D5 there.
Well, maybe Rook G7. Oh no, Rook G7 wouldn't work.
Yes, but okay. Bishop takes E4. You go Queen to G2. All the queens, bishops, everything lined up. Yeah, tough, but still, if you do Queen to D7, you're asking your opponent to play another very creative move, Knight to F3. Maybe he won't find it. Still, if a tough defense will make white play some very creative moves and risky moves too, or at least moves that look risky if you're not calculating 5 or 8 moves ahead or something.
So Queen D7, Knight F3. What about Bishop takes E4?
And then Queen to G2 or H2.
And then F6?
Okay, say it was Queen to H2.
Oh, no, yeah, okay. You're trying to trick me.
Well, Queen to H2, you go King to F8.
And then you lose your bishop, right?
Let's try that again. Queen D7, Knight F3, Bishop E4, Queen H2, King F8. We're just trying to run as fast as we can with that black king.
Check, king e7, queen back check.
To h4.
Four.
Oh, that's a harsh move.
King
That is a
f8.
harsh move.
What happens after king f8 though? Queen f6 or rook g7 check?
Yeah.
Oh, rook g7 check is killing.
Or pawn to d5.
Rook g7, king g7, queen h6, and queen h8 mate.
That would be very mean. Rook to g7, bishop takes rook on h1.
Oh wait, oh, isn't rook g7 check? Wait a minute, I'm confused again. So queen d7, knight f3,
Bishop e4.
queen h2, king f8, queen h8, king e7, queen h4, king f8. Oh, you're right, rook g7 is not check.
Probably is very good. Something like rook to g7, bishop takes a1, rook to h7 threatens rook h8 mate.
Ooh, brutal. How to conduct a mating attack.
You know there's some mate there. I mean, there's probably various ways in that line, but yes, it's Mike's knight to f, queen d7, Mike's knight to f3 is a good move.
So, would you describe this as one of those positions where White's having more fun?
Definitely. It's fun now, but it may get really fun.
I see. What do you do when you have to calculate a position where all the variations are bad?
Well, that's when you have to be creative. There's no
formula.
good scenario in reality, so you have to imagine something that goes wrong for your opponent. You have to be cheap.
No, cheap. You're talking my kind of talk.
Well, you could go queen on queen, as one famous person.
I wouldn't stoop so low, Nick.
I have to tell you, Paul, in these long time control games, the queen on queen doesn't work as well.
That's true. I can imagine Biasis looking at Chiron and going, "What?"
Well, if we see Chiron getting so desperate that he tries a cheapo like that, then it's an odd position. It's just hard to find a constructive move for the black side.
I'm hoping this is Theo's breakout tournament. Certainly his play has really gotten. He's looking really good in these games that we've seen so far.
Very impressive. He's played this game, like an international master. It's fabulous.
All right, let's stop praising him to the skies until he wins. And
oh yes, no, that's the good thing. This game, the outcome of this game is not certain.
And this is the Winslow-Harris game.
And Elliot has just jumped in with that knight.
And black is thinking, and the players are starting to get a little bit low on time. The time control is game in 2 hours with a 5-second increment. So things are heating up here. And black resigned in this game. Must have resigned after 95 check.
Well, I guess it's just too bad. I mean, there's various ways. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice game again.
Yeah. White played quite a nice game. Black kind of fell. Okay. Whoa, Nick, we've got a king and pawn ending.
A lot of these players just fight. You know, no draw, no draw. That's maybe you or I might have said, he can't do anything, but they are fighting.
All right. So, what happens after king f7?
Ooh, well, I think the white king just charges forward. Um, you want to occupy those center squares, f4, e4, as quickly as possible, and white should have better chances in that case. King s7, king g3, whatever move black plays.
Yeah. Black has been playing with fire in this game. Completely playing with fire. There was no reason for black to interpose the queen here. Way too risky. This endgame is looking better for white.
And king and pawn endings, they seem simple, but it's so easy to get a lost position in a king and pawn ending.
Yeah.
Because
the white king is the white king going to get to e4 before the black king can get to d5. King g3. It looks like it. All right, let's come back to this. Take a quick look at Nicholas Wang, and this game has gotten stuck here. So we're something went wrong in DGT land.
Okay, maybe we'll get a result at the end of the tournament.
And
Kyron
is still
thinking. It's just funny. No help to move the rook on a8. No help to move the rook on e8. Doesn't seem any reason to move the knight. No pawn moves seem productive. Hard to find a constructive move for black.
I've got a funny idea here. Previously, after white castled, or actually after f takes e4, maybe black should have gone back bishop h7 to play f5 or something like that on the next move. Of course, hindsight is 20/20. I don't know.
Well, I think there's also trouble with that. It may be a better try, but whites will have a lot of tactical possibilities.
I mean, the bishop e4 pawn to d5 move is the fly in the ointment for black. All right.
Yeah.
Shall we run to the other games, or do you want to try to find something again with black? Here.
Well, everything's kind of a miracle, trying to. It's maybe you can hang on. Bishop e4, knight e4, bishop e4, pawn to d5, pawn to f6. Doesn't really work, but
I guess the most direct move would be queen takes e4, but maybe knight e4 is better.
I mean, yes, well, that's it. You go into an end game. It's just, yeah, you're lost in the end game. It's just which bad choice are you going to choose? I think I'd try your queen d7 and make your opponent play something brilliant, hoping they get a bit of cold feet, that they try to win without complications and give you a chance to weasel out of it.
Bishop e4 d5, folks. That's the clutch move. Both queen and rook hanging, but black can't take either one without getting mated. All right, shall we move on to the next game, Elliot?
Yes, I've been a bit silent because there's just nothing really to say.
Ooh, a3 threatens pawn to b4. Black played knight c7, and now we're seeing a problem with knight c7, and that is that white is threatening pawn to b4.
You have to like that. There's a really sleazy move.
There's a move for you. Elliot Winslow threatens pawn to b4. What can black do? Can he play pawn b4 himself?
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's best. Otherwise, you have to go back with the knight back to e8 or something.
And black can just survive, huh? After a takes b4, queen takes b4, knight d5. That's nothing special, probably.
Yes, you'd be able to trade the queens. And
yeah. Nothing special.
But pawn to b4. Yeah, play, queen takes b4. And as nice as white's position looks, where's a knockout blow?
I don't see it. White can still play knight to d5, but, you know, black can take on d5 and take on f5, but then he'll lose the knight on c6. Ooh. I don't know. Fireworks ahead. We're going to have some fun in the last... We are going to have some fun, Nick.
So,
okay, king g3 was played.
now, Kadir Gusena would have done that a fraction of a second. Now, the move would have been played before you even had a chance to...
The question is, what can white accomplish here?
Oh, that's
Maybe a great
That's,
deal.
but yes, you don't worry about that. You absolutely have to centralize your king because you can't let the black king take over the squares.
Right.
And your king on h2 is a terrible space. So charge forward. And here, because black has so many isolated pawns, even in a king ending, it's good to have um, good pawn structure.
Yeah, it's
Because
but Black's play is just baffling to me. I mean, so many decisions. The decision back here on the 35th move, or the 25th move, to allow this exchange, which doubled his pawns. Um, sorry. And then this not accepting the draw by perpetual check. And now white seems to be better in this endgame.
so since the others are taking their middle games and attacking chess, we could consider this endgame a bit. Say you did
Can I
the
just
black.
can I just check? Okay, Karen played b5.
Now, is that a Chiron move or is that a Chiron move? It's you have to do something, and he just. I was wondering what he would do, which pawn, which piece he would move, try to do something active, and there, pawn to b5. So of course we'll ask, what happens if you take the pawn, which I'm sure you should.
Well, the black could maybe move the knight and try to play d5. That's probably what he's going to do. Knight a7 threatens to play knight b5, and also the idea of playing d5. So, yeah, he found a move.
Okay, that is clever. So pawn takes b5, knight a7, pawn to a4, black plays pawn to d5. That's
With the worst position.
yes, you're just definitely worse, no doubt about that. But are you surely lost? And the good thing is, even if you're lost, it's definitely not resignable.
All right, so what if white switches over to the H file like we've been talking about? Rook g4, black moves, plays b4, I guess. And then rook h4 threatens mate. f6.
Okay, so Josiah Stearman has joined in the chat.
Oh, cool. Hey, Hosea. What's up? What do you think is going on in this game?
Well, because Theo is crushing. But Josiah was, I remember he was absolutely crushing Gadir in a game and let him slip out. So we are going to see the resourceful Kyron Griffith in this game.
So I've got an idea here. Take on b5. Black plays knight a7. And then don't allow him to play d5. Play d5 yourself.
So pawn takes b5, knight a7, pawn to d5?
Yeah.
And if knight takes b5?
Oh, something like bishop takes g7. No. Maybe just bishop goes back to b2. I don't know. Does that any good?
That's probably also good. Now, they are saying both Josiah and Mike Welder, pawn takes b5, knight a7, pawn to a4, take your queen side, then pawn to d5.
And just let him take on e4 while you win positionally on the queen side.
Yeah,
That makes sense. That's clear-headed thinking. Maybe rook g4 then, right?
yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
he plays g5. Okay.
Here? Ooh. Oh. Whoa. Whoa. That's ouch. Something's wrong with that. I mean, suddenly now black has possibilities. One is pawn to b4, but even knight to e5. Okay, knight to e5. Maybe you just do pawn takes b5. Maybe that's the idea. What happens on pawn to b4? I mean, you can take the knight on c6, pawn takes bishop on c3, queen takes c3, but then you've lost all your positional advantage. You've won a pawn, but no positional advantage. So
Yeah, if I was black, I'd be happy to see d5, I think.
oh, Theo, you were playing so well, so
But
well.
how does black do anything after, say, knight e5, c takes b5?
That could well be really good for the white side. Although maybe you've avoided checkmate with black. But again, pawn to b4 is my
Oh,
preferred
I
move
see.
because
Pawn to b4 as well. Theo seems to have opened up a can of worms with this.
yeah, I now have a bad feeling for Theo. It was so well done for so long, and now we may see.
And that move was hastily played too. It's
Didn't think long, no.
I mean, it's still possibly white for choice, you know, when all is said and done.
For choice, yes, but no longer clear win at all.
Right. Speaking of a clear winner, what about Elliot Winslow versus Gary Harris? So b4 was played, and then after b4, Elliot chopped the knight off. So b4 was played. Elliot chopped the knight off and then played into d5.
Oh, looks very clever with the pin on the b4 pawn.
Would you
Because
call that underhanded or just clever?
let's give him clever at this stage because his position was good. He's not trying to be sleazy.
I'm just giving Elliot some grief, and he's not even here.
So yeah, bishop takes d5, pawn takes d5.
Well, what about knight c7 takes d5? No?
Knight c7 takes d5, then pawn takes d5.
And then bishop
And you
takes d5.
cannot capture on d5 because of pawn takes b4.
Right.
Undermining the support of the d5 square. So probably bishop takes d5 is forced, pawn takes b5, and wow, rook to b8.
That does not inspire confidence.
It's not nice, certainly not nice.
Okay. Um, by the way, this game, oh, we know what happened in this game. This game was agreed to a draw, Nick,
Oh, is this? Oh, oh,
which I think was a lucky break for Black.
yeah. It's
And this game is lost to us in GGT something or other. So we're left with these two games. All right, B4 has been played. Is the tide turning here?
that was. Oh, yeah. That was a shame, Theo. That just you suddenly give Black so many chances that way. There was so much wrong with the Black position, and now for pawn or a temporary pawn, uh,
So
Black's
takes on C6, takes on C3, Queen C3, and then what? Queen E5 or something?
probably Queen E5. Yes.
Wow, this has really gone south for White. He didn't quite grasp the situation. Bishop A1.
Oh.
95.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
All right, so now if I'm White, I play A4 without even thinking.
Okay. At least you keep a safe king.
Yeah, A4. And then, wow, we have a game. It's hard to know exactly what's going on here.
And he does it. Good, good, good. So at least the white king is safe.
Whew. That's
And
a sneaky move, Queen F6. But it might be a good one. If King B1, Queen F2. What an odd game this has been. Or it's turning into. I don't think Queen F2 is going to do much.
well, no, that it's very good to get that queen active. If you'd given white a couple of moves, then
White can play Bishop D4, but then maybe C5. White has to be careful; doesn't fall into some horrible positional thing here. It's already sort of, going in that direction.
it's yes, you worry. Probably still better for white. Bishop to D4, queen to F2 or something, king to B1.
What about C5 then?
And pawn has to take on C5, the knight takes on, or C6, knight takes on C6. Ooh, you're right. There's no great move for white. That suddenly you don't have a really strong attack anymore.
Well, White just has to be careful here. Obviously, this has really been a astounding kind of turnaround almost.
It's a shame. It's a shame because Theo had played so well, and we deserved to see the position that he had gotten from that. But it's yes. Now this is kind of like a regular game. It's that white's got some minimal edge. It's
Or
This-
does he? Maybe. Maybe white should play c5 soon. Maybe even now. Well, I don't know. That doesn't look right. Wow. Okay, let's switch over to Winslow's game. And black did take with the knight on c7 on d5.
And that, as far as I can see, that's just losing a pawn. Because anything like bishop takes d5, pawn takes b4, going to win on that d5 square.
Yeah.
Oh, if knight takes d5,
ab4.
pawn takes b4, queen takes b4, doesn't work because of bishop takes d5, queen takes d2, bishop takes e6, check, followed by recapturing the queen on d2.
What if black plays queen g4 check? No good. So black is just pitching a pawn, and might be two pawns in a minute. That a6 pawn is looking bad. Very cleverly done by Elliot.
And yes, it seems the queen side's been ruined.
Boy, I wish that white queen was on g3 or something like that. Suddenly, white seems to have run out of some juice here.
There were no good squares for the black pieces, but now there are.
Still, it might be difficult for black to actually get something done here. A queen f2, rook f1, queen e2.
Yes. Queen is great on f2. And see how quickly Kyron plays it. Just throw it in. Why not?
And now c5 is a sort of a strategic threat here.
It's just Queen is a troublemaker.
Let's go back to this position just for a second here. Doesn't seem like there's any reason not to take this pawn.
Yes, that's your opponent played that out of desperation. You had to realize that. And yeah, take the pawn. Take the pawn. It's a pawn to begin with. It wins material on the queen side, and you have to just weather your opponent's tricks. But pawn takes b5 is absolutely a winning position.
d5 is the wrong idea.
Yes, and it's a shame. Psychologically, just when everything you've done has worked, and then you have to sort of be calm and just, play routine moves. You don't have to play the great creative moves that got you there. Just play routine moves and trust in that. and that can be so hard to do. Maybe
Oh,
you just go king b1 in this position. Try to go king a1.
gotta watch out for knight f3.
King b1, knight f3. Can you go
Well, I
knight
mean,
takes f3?
not with the queen protected, yeah. Well, I guess you could take and play. What are you looking at?
I'm thinking if the white king could get to a1, then you have attacking chances. It's that your pieces aren't on such good squares. Okay, good suggestion by Mike Walder. Queen to d1. But again, your c5 is going to be played against most anything. I guess you could just go back bishop to a1.
And then you lose the e3 pawn.
Oh, yes.
Maybe you're going to attack the queen, rook f1.
Well, what is that? Like if queen to d1, pawn to c5, pawn takes c6, knight takes c6, rook to f1, can you at least get a perpetual attack against the black queen? And at least you'd be able to get a draw.
Look at that. That's right. The rook.
And what's the rating difference? It's about 350 points in this game.
FIDE? I'm not sure. Let's take a look at Mr. Winslow. So black is in dire straits here, right? Pawn to c4 and roll them up.
Yeah, it's completely lost on the queen side. So,
Time for desperate attack on the king side.
which can be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You know,
Queen
you're not,
d7 and bishop h3 and knight h4.
yes, it'll be hard to control the whole game. You must be winning, but oh, there should be some cheapos left in this game.
That's what we're all about. And Theo Biasis is still thinking and has gone behind on the clock. I like your idea of getting that king to a1 if it can be done. It's a great idea.
Yeah, so Mike Wilder is suggesting queen to d1, pawn to c5, and then bishop takes e5.
Right, rook e5 and then what?
Oh, rook e5, rook to f1, queen takes f3, rook to f3, then queen to 4, rook to 3.
So my prediction is Karen will play c5 here, probably pretty quickly. But then white has a, does white have a perpetual attack on the queen?
A lot of these lines he does. And okay, possibly there's something better. It's complicated. I wouldn't be surprised to see that a draw by the perpetual attack.
How does black avoid that?
Okay, well, in a way, maybe he'd be satisfied having had such a terrible position that you get a draw. So,
Is knight f3 too, oh no, sorry. Hanging a piece. It's getting late, folks, and I'm hanging pieces.
yeah, I don't know. This game,
Hey, black really doesn't have much here, huh? I was getting all excited for black, and now I'm looking, the more I look at it, the more. Queen t1 is a nice move.
yes, covers some important squares there.
It's hard to find. Maybe black will just play rook e7 and rook a ea or something like that.
Okay, let's see. Rook e7.
And then there's a perpetual attack on the queen, right?
Well, that for sure.
All right,
Certainly
so
do
he's
that.
avoiding it. Check.
Oh, Chiron is really playing for the win.
King b1. What, rook e4, maybe? No, that's not going to work.
Rook e4, rook takes g6 would
Yeah. Then rook
work.
g4.
So what is he playing?
So
King to b1, knight to c5. Just really ganging up on the e4 square.
yeah.
Well,
Then white
trust
can
it.
play rook f1.
Let's do something quick here.
Nicholas Wang game was.
Yeah.
We don't know. That was
That like go haywire.
DGT haywire.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we had the funny DGT moves. So Nicholas won that game.
Oh, yeah. Well. Yeah, we'll have to see what happened there.
Yeah, you can see that something happened there with.
Just something happened there. All right. Well, things happen.
Okay. Yeah. So we got a result that Nicholas Wang game was won by white.
So apparently he didn't give up the rook.
So rook takes e4 looks like a move. Oh no, it doesn't. It looks like a terrible move.
No, that
Knight takes e4, bishop e4, rook g7 check. King f8, rook h8, king e7, rook a8. Is there a decent discovered check that wins everything?
I don't think so. No.
Not to mention, rook takes g6, rook takes d4, and then something.
but knight to c5. It's probably don't want to go bishop takes c5. So that really bangs up on the e4 square.
Can white play rook f1?
Rook to f1, queen to g3.
Knight takes e4 is possible too, I guess.
Possible, yes. So Mike Wilder wants knight to c5, bishop takes c5, pawn takes c5, rook to h3, and just.
Oh, I like that, I suppose. Defending e3. But then, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Um,
Is there anything else other than knight c5?
You know, is rook takes e4 possible on that? Well, then you have rook takes 6. I guess now rook takes g6 would be a good reply. But okay, knight c5, bishop takes c5, bishop takes c5, rook h3, queen f6.
What about knight c5, bishop? Oh, you can't play bishop takes g7. I'm starting to hallucinate here.
Yeah, so I mean, going to be complicated down to the end.
Does this work, Nick? What?
Wow, what a move.
I don't think that's a good move. I just don't. I distrust that move somehow.
So, okay, if rook takes g6, rook takes d4.
And the white has rook g7 check in that position, maybe.
King takes g7.
Takes on d4. Who's attacking who? Queen takes d4, I guess, and then white can play queen g1 check, exchanging.
Queens to a pawn down ending?
Yeah, that's true. That's not so great.
Okay. Queen takes. So what happens on knight e4, bishop e4?
Rook g7 check.
Okay, let's go rook g7.
King f8. Rook h8. King e7. Let's just take the rook on the corner and see where's this discovered check.
Well, that is a gutsy move. Okay, you want to go knight e4, bishop e4, rook g7, king f8, rook h8 check, king e7, rook takes h8, and something like knight to e1 check.
Well, I guess I go into the corner.
And knight to c2 check.
Ooh.
Yeah, that one would hurt.
Yeah.
So,
I guess I can go back to c1 on 91 check. How about knight e4, bishop e4, rook g7, king f8, king a1?
Okay, yes. As Mike Weld is also suggesting, bishop takes rook on A1 and oh, sorry, H1. Bishop takes rook on H1, and he says queen takes D3, but I'm not certain that's so special.
So it looks like white needs to take on e4.
Yeah, you probably just have to take on E4. Not much to it.
Because you can always move into the corner, right? Yeah, what's wrong with that? Knight e4, bishop e4, rook g7, king f8, and then just move into the corner.
Maybe.
Black can take the rook on h1, but you retake.
So how about this line? Knight E4, bishop E4, bishop takes G7.
Wow. Now that is really a heck of a move.
Okay, because, all right, they can do damage to you, but you're threatening a lot. Now, if they did bishop takes rook on H1,
Well, I mean, wow.
maybe they can just go bishop takes rook on H1.
But who's attacking who after knight e4, bishop e4?
Well, that's what's good. I mean,
So knight e4, bishop e4, rook g7, king f8, and then king a1. I want to try that again.
and then bishop takes rook on H1.
Queen takes h1.
And we could trade queens with the queen to E1 check.
Ah. And black is better in the endgame, right?
Oddly, I'm no, maybe not, because after queen E1, queen takes C1, queen takes C1, bishop F6. Is there a way out of the threat of
Oh,
rook
that's right.
H7 and rook H8?
Fabulous. Fabulous,
It's
folks.
so bishop G3 is the fly in the ointment. Okay, or bishop F3. I'm not sure what he means that.
He took it on e4. I'd be really tempted to do this with white here for sure. What a dramatic position. What do you think, Nick? Rook g7, king f8. King A1.
King A1, then bishop. Bishop takes H1.
And Queen H1.
Queen H1. Yes. Yes. And that position is actually even pawn.
Right.
So Mike Welder likes, instead of Queen H1, Queen takes D3. But
Boy, this game is a fantastic game.
it is.
It's been a great game. It's been so hard to figure out exactly what's been going on. It's terrific.
Yes. And they're getting low on time, I guess.
King A1 is a nice move here, too. I mean, I feel just, yeah, he plays it. It's tremendous. Attack and defense, Nick.
Yeah, credit to both players. And as expected, Curran, when he got a lost position, came up with a creative plan. And that threw just enough confusion in to so that Theo didn't wrap up the point, and we get this crazy mess.
I guess Black can try to bail with like taking the rook and then playing 95. Oh no, he can't. Or could he? Maybe take the rook.
Yes, I like bishop takes H1, queen takes H1. I mean, that has to be good for you.
And then something like king. Can the black king escape?
The thought, if king to E7.
King to E7. White can't play queen H4 check.
No, maybe it's actually safe.
Oh, white
Nice.
can play queen E4 check.
Oh yes.
So maybe it's.
Yeah.
So maybe black needs to play 90. Oh no, but 95 runs into queen H8 check. And then I'm not sure that white can take the rook on A8 without getting mated. So
There's a possibility of a perpetual. Yes.
Kyron plays some great chess. Really, his games are very exciting. He knows how to keep the tension in the positions. What do you think? Let's run over to Winslow for a second.
Yes. Okay. Let's see. This. Is he wrapping this one up? Okay, now that's defense. Bishop to H1, pawn to F3. And okay, so it's what you should do. You're just winning on the queen side.
Black is doing the same thing. He's played bishops to C8. This is not so easy yet, is it?
No? No.
All right, I'm gonna swing
You
back
should come to
out.
H2.
Oh, I'm sorry. What happened? Oh, he took. Okay, so he took on H1, Queen H1, and now I'm thinking 95, and then maybe a perpetual check if White takes the Rook.
95 so that that knight's as good as the bishop. And
How about Knight C5? Is that too risky? Oh, Rook G8 check is also a possibility. Black has to be a
yes.
little careful here. With Queen E4 and Rook G8 check and weird moves like that. Might be time to settle down with Knight E5, but what if White keeps going with like Rook H7 or something?
Yeah, Rook H7's a theme.
Also, Knight E5, Queen H8, King E7, Queen A8, Queen E1 check, King A2, Queen D2, Bishop B2, and the knight
And
goes back into D3. Can White do anything there?
no, White would be getting checkmated.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can't leave the White King all alone.
I guess he could play Rook. Yeah, 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 yeah. No. Interesting variations, though. Pardon me, folks. It's late here in San Francisco.
Yes, it is.
It looks like 95 might be forced, huh?
95, so probably Rook H7, and you run away King to E7. Maybe that's some, yeah, that Black King is looking fairly safe. 95, Rook G2, Queen F6.
Oh,
Oh, but that is a mistake, I think. Queen E1 check. So I'm just wondering, Queen
maybe it's
E1,
not.
Queen E1, Knight E1, Bishop F6. Oh my God. Because the threat is Rook to H7, threatening mate. And that Rook on A8 is also,
Yep, current blunders.
oh no.
Oh, he's got this.
Oh, okay. So that the king can run out to E7 to E8 to D7. Right. That's
and then a draw with rook h8 and rook h7.
Would Aaron be trying to win at any? It's difficult to win the game.
And maybe if he could get the rooks off and put his knight on e4 and king on, or his king on e4.
Yes. Positionally, pawn to e4, pawn to e5, but pawn to e4, maybe there's knight to.
You think Theo that White has some chances here?
That black knight isn't so good. Is it trying to get to c5 or king to b1?
Maybe he's trying to go to e4, but White can force a draw here, right? With rook h7, king e8, check, king d7, rook back to h7.
And rook f8 would be really pushing it.
I mean, it looks like it pushing it, but I mean, White, both players seem to have fair chances in the end game. Maybe if the rooks were off, I don't know. Maybe White would be better. Hard to tell.
I think Karen will not lose at this point. He's just a little worse. King b1 was good. Knight d3.
There's no reason not for White not to play rook h7 here, I think.
Yeah, rook h7 looks like a good move. King e8, and then yes, you don't have to do anything at that point.
Yeah, you can just do nothing and play king c2.
King c2, and where does that knight go? Maybe to c5.
And then bishop d4 is White. Does White have some chances then?
Yeah, interesting.
White's burning up precious time here, as they
Okay,
say.
so Mike Walder said, "What if we did c5 before?" But yeah, I'm not sure that would have worked. Knight to c. So what are we gonna see? Rook h7. King e8, bishop d4. I like bishop d4. Let's push that knight somewhere. Must be a threat to take on c5.
Yeah, that would be like a king and pawn ending with White a pawn ahead. And then trading rooks with a win, probably, or maybe a win. White's using too much time here. Only White can be better here now, after this. And Chiron's in trouble, I think, here.
Or can he
again.
play knight d7, rook h8, check, knight f8?
Maybe just king e7.
Yeah, I mean, king e7's still
Still white should
should be a
probably,
draw.
yeah. Still white's better, for sure, I think. Just take on c5 and you're basically a pawn ahead.
Yes, so still better, still a bit better for white. Could we see how Mr. Winslow is doing?
Yeah. Well, this has gotten exciting.
Oh, yes. Somehow the queen side doesn't seem to matter much anymore.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Black managed to change the dialogue here, but he's still got in difficulties. You gotta hand it to him the way he's opening up, trying to open the game up, though. He knows what he's doing.
The black bishop on e6 just doesn't play much part in the game. Yeah.
And, you know, Elliot has to be careful here.
He does indeed, and he's low, down to 5 minutes on the clock.
Can Black just play pawn to e3 here?
Certainly seems like he should.
Maybe White should have been pushing his queen side. I don't know. It's ironic that the white king is now weakened by these pawn advances on the king side. Let's see what's going on with Kyron's game really quick.
Yes. Game of the round. So, big decision for Chiron here.
So what, knight d7? Rook check, knight f8? But that looks horrible.
Well, I'm not sure what's happening. You could go bishop e7, king e7, and
Or I could try e4 or c5.
oh, you probably win the king ending by king to d3. Rook has to move to e8, and then trade everything on f8, king to e4, and king to f5.
Black plays e3.
Yes.
This is disturbing. And this opens up lines to both kings.
Oh, why did he take? I would have gone bishop to g2 and bishop to h3.
Or bishop to f3. Yeah, something.
But trade off that knight for one bishop so you can take on e3.
Right. He wants to take the knight off and mate in the corner. as Sienkiewicz used to say. No change here. We're getting two very dramatic games here, Nick.
Okay, the finish is going to be exciting in these.
So rook g7 check, but that doesn't seem to. So rook g2 or what?
You have, I guess you have to go rook g2
Yeah,
if you
you
don't want
have
to
to go
lose to
rook
the
g2.
exchange.
Yeah. Or lose a rook or something. What did black gain here by doing this?
Well, trade the rooks, king to h8. And the other rook on the g file.
And try to do the same thing. I'm going to switch over really quick.
Yes.
No movement by Chiron here, who may be, who's been struggling a little bit now in these last few moves, I think.
I think your decision, king to e7, is the best practical decision. You're worse in the rook ending, but okay, you're Karen Griffith and you should be able to draw that.
Okay.
Ooh, maybe not so easy. King e7, bishop takes c5, bishop takes c5, rook h6.
He played knight e4.
Wow. So if king d3, knight f2 check, king e2, knight back to e4.
All right, so black is playing for a draw here.
Um,
What about rook h4?
yes.
We need a little domination theme. White's clearly better now, I think.
Yes, okay. Now, king d3, knight f2 check, king e2, knight e4. H4 just looks good. On to f5
He played rook h4.
right away.
Yeah, but that looks good too. That looks quite good. And I think knight c5 isn't the king and pawn ending maybe lost, right? Like you said, take.
Yes.
Now pawn to e4. Chiron is getting into trouble here with his knight, I think. Or king to d. I guess pawn to e4. The knight is almost lost.
Yes, but almost. And when did you have 3 minutes on the clock? Find that hard to trap.
All right, the threat is king g3 and bishop f2, I suppose, or something like that. This has just gotten worse for black.
So king to d7.
White's got that pesky. Oh, he plays king e7 now. Rook g8. I guess black's getting away here. Although white's much better after king. I guess after king d3.
Still better for white, yes.
Yeah, much better for white.
I think he should have played king d3 before he did this rook h4 move.
I think you're right.
Yes.
Subtle difference, but.
And let's switch back to the Winslow game for a moment.
Okay. Ooh, Wow. Winslow is down a piece, but is he regaining it?
Aha, very tricky, very tricky.
How did this happen? Folks who wants to know, he took on G2 check and played King H7, not King H8 like you recommended. And Elliot got rid of the defender, the passed pawn, and then plays Queen G3, Rook G8.
Very clever. It seems that's working.
Rook
Queen
E3,
T.
not Queen E3, okay.
Oh. If rook takes G3, rook takes C8, bishop H3, king to H2, and that wins or saves the piece.
It Winslows the piece. Oh, but this just loses Rook E7 and Queen C3. Nice.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch. Well,
I have a feeling
hard
Elliot will
fight.
see that.
2 minutes, you
The
will
battle
find that.
train, the battle. He does, and we have Winslow winning that game. Okay, I'm going to switch back over to Biasis. Jeez, what happened here?
Oh, look at that cheap shot. And Chiron saves the game with that.
So what
Wow,
happened
could
here?
even be better.
Played 92, King D2. Knight C3, Bishop D4, Rook G8, Bishop C3, Rook G2 check, King C1. Okay. And now black is probably better. Right?
It looks like it, yes, that black king is coming up there.
Oh.
Okay. Maybe now it's just a draw. Rook to F3, and the king can't get in the game.
Rook to F3. That's not a move that most people would play here, Nick. They'd be playing Rook C3 right away. Which probably is okay too, right?
Rook C3, king to F6.
But then Rook can go back to F3 check, so Chiron played Rook E2.
Okay, now.
Theo's giving away the B3 pawn.
Oh,
Oh no,
Theo.
he played King C3. White is prepared. What is White doing here? Is not clear.
No, that pawn.
The F pawn is dangerous now.
Definitely dangerous. Wow, I'm afraid this is going south for Theo. Oh no, that's. A trade.
Why didn't Chiron trade? I mean, if White plays B4.
Yeah, I thought trade and pawn to F4 would have won the game, and the king and pawn endgame.
This might win too.
It's tough. It's tough. Theo doesn't deserve this, but that's the way Chiron works. He plays the whole game.
Well, pawn to B4. This is not over yet.
Yeah, at least he's got a passer.
Boy, White managed to put all his pieces in the wrong squares. How does he do it? How did he do it?
Oh, God. Oh, it's plastic ones. Looking off, who knows?
Yeah, looks like rookie one is forced here.
Yes, the rook check wasn't a good move.
Oh.
Well, that just encourages rook f7.
Yeah, but I'm looking then.
Yes.
Maybe it's a good move. It's just in time to guard his A-pawn.
Oh, interesting. Rook f7, pawn to a6, pawn to f2, pawn to a7, queen, queen. Maybe that's just a draw. Rook f7, pawn to a6, c6, pawn takes c6, pawn to f2, and pawn to c7. Oh, so
Whoa. Nice analysis, Nick.
rook
Kyron,
f
nice.
Yeah.
that nice move. Rook to e8, 19 seconds. I think that holds.
Let's figure it out.
Oh, and a6. He played it quickly. Very good.
So with F2, we played. So A7, it's black's move after queen.
Okay.
Yeah,
you
but
have
this
to-
has got to be a draw
No, it
now.
doesn't. It's not that simple at all.
Queen d3. What's going on here?
We took a pawn.
If I'm white, I'm going to play queen e6 here without even thinking about it. Yeah,
I like queen e6.
yeah.
And the checks begin.
What a great game. What a great game this has been. I don't think black should be
Don't try
too
too hard.
careful about playing for a win here, but you never know. They each have seconds left.
Don't let him take the A-pawn and check.
Not that, you know.
Oh, well.
This is a good time to put queen opposite queen, Nick.
I think you agree a draw in a well-played game.
Rook f5? No, then white can start a whole series of checks
Well,
himself.
whole series of mates. He's got queen filling.
King to d3.
Unlike chess.com, there's no computer calling out the repetition.
Oh, that's right.
Don't go to c2,
Years ago.
king d2. Well done, Theo. Theo, you really deserve a draw. Just
Ooh, but he just stopped all the checks.
very well played game.
Yeah.
b7. He's going to go for it. Oh, rook f5. What? Strange move.
Looks like one plus one.
Oh.
Ah,
Ouch.
what happened
Oh,
Fell
Theo.
apart. That's it. It's done.
Ouch. Oh,
Well, it's mate.
what a shame. What a shame. I'm sorry. Okay, Chiron, you win again, and well done. But Theo, you absolutely deserve to draw this game.
here? If not win it at one point as well, or a couple
Yes.
of points. What a tragic game.
Guess Steve should go home and study young games.
Well, folks,
That's
This-
all,
this-
folks. Well, from the Mechanics Institute, I want to thank everybody for joining us. That was an incredible last round, just all over the place, and
Let me just mark the result.
we're going to see you next Tuesday for round 4, and Kyron Griffith dodged a bullet. Just maybe even a couple of bullets
In the waning seconds there.
in the waning seconds. And Elliot Winslow managed to eke out a victory by the skin of his teeth.
These
By
international
miracle.
masters.
Nick, I'm going to say goodnight to everybody. And good night to the folks out here from the Mechanics Institute Chess Club. I'm Paul Whitehead and Nick DeFermian. We're going to say goodnight and see you next week. Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.